Well, we're back, and Money Matters is fortunate to have former U.S. Comptroller David Walker and also the CEO of the Come Back America initiative. By the way, the author of a national bestseller, Come Back America, here. You signed this one for me, so I have it signed. I met you in Kansas is when we first met.
I don't want to see it on eBay now.
Well, I have a few out there already, and they're doing quite well.
On this show, it's going to go national.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, the book was the start. The bus tour is there, but maybe for the people, they can get this wherever books are sold, right?
Well, yeah, I get it on Amazon. I mean, I'd get it on Amazon. If I was you, I'd buy the paperback version. Mm-hmm. It's more up to date. It's lighter. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
Fiscal responsibility.
Right, there you go.
You actually, in the book, I mean, we hear about the problem and the 16 trillion of the 70 trillion. You actually give some solutions. Let's try to get our people off the bridge, if you will. Can you give us some solutions as how we can actually fix this problem?
Well, let's give an example. First, everything's got to be on the table. Budget controls, social insurance reforms, defense and other spending reductions, as well as comprehensive tax reform that generates revenue. We got to do it. We can't grow our way out. We can't cut our way out. We can't tax our way out. We can't inflate our way out. There's a new four-letter word: math. All right. Now that's a word that Americans aren't top 25 in math, and in Washington they're not top 100. So it's a real challenge. All right. So what we're going to do is outline solutions in each of those areas, and I'm happy to cover some of them if you want. Yeah. All right. Let's take Social Security. Social Security does not face an immediate challenge. It's not our biggest problem. Medicare is much worse than Social Security. On the other hand, it's underfunded by about $11 trillion. That goes up several hundred billion a year by doing nothing because of compounding is working against us. So if we act soon, we can basically say for people that are 55 and over, little to no change. The younger you are, the better off you are financially, the more you'll be affected, but the more time you have and the more means you have. We need to change the benefit formula to make it, to provide more to the less well-off and somewhat less to the better well-off, but not turn it into a welfare program. Mm-hmm. Secondly, we need to gradually increase the normal and early retirement age and index it to life expectancy, but provide an exception for certain occupations that are manual labor, miners, steel workers, heavy working. We need to think about increasing the taxable wage-based cap, not the tax rate, but the cap that right now is about $110,000 and maybe about $150,000. You can do those things and others and make the program solvent, sustainable, secure, forever, and guess what? Every generation gets more than they think they're going to get. I call that a win.
I mean, you just said it in, a minute, right?
Yeah.
What politicians are afraid to talk about. Why is that? Why do you think that is? This is straight talk.
Well, the answer is because most politicians today, not all, but most, are something called career politicians, mm-hmm. which our founders never wanted and is not good for this country. Once you look at your position as a job, human nature being what it is, you don't want to lose your job involuntarily. Elected office ought to be temporary public service.
You're talking term limits?
Absolutely. I absolutely believe we need redistricting reform, we need integrated and open primaries, we need campaign finance reform, and we need 12 to 18-year term limits. Now, the first two of those things don't take a constitutional amendment. The last two do. Mm-hmm. We don't have time to wait for that right now, mm-hmm. because the clock is ticking. Time's not working in our favor. But yeah, we need political reforms too, because we have a republic that is not representative of or responsive to the public.
But don't you think most of the voters out there are more of inclined to be better suited to pick their American Idol candidate than their presidential candidate? And I think that Dave's spot on. The points are right there. It's written, outlined in the book. It seems simple when you hear it explained by you, but I mean, does the public have an appetite to be educated, or are they just deciding who is more charismatic or whose wife is wearing a better dress? It's insane.
Well, I have been to 49 states during town hall meetings, business community leaders, editorial boards, media, and what I found is the people are a lot smarter than the politicians mm-hmm. realize. They can handle the truth if you tell them the truth. They're willing to accept tough choices. They're willing to accept changes in social insurance programs and additional taxes if it's part of a comprehensive plan mm-hmm. that they deem to be fair. The biggest deficit we have today is a leadership deficit. Yep. And we better fill that, and we better fill it fast.
There's a certain date that you have in your head that if we don't enact some of these changes that we're at Greece, that we're Europe, is there a certain date that you've got maybe we can pass on to our viewers?
My view is we must make progress next year. We're not going to solve the problem next year. We must make meaningful progress, because the truth is, when you use honest and comparable accounting, and I'm in the Accounting Hall of Fame, so I know a little bit about accounting, okay? When you use honest and comparable accounting, there's only one country in Europe that has higher total government debt as a percentage of the economy than we do, and that's Greece, and we don't want to follow their lead.
No, absolutely not.
Well, the crystal ball, I think, you know, we get the opportunity to see the mistakes that Europe makes, and hopefully we'll correct it here. You know, moving forward, you know, throughout the bus tour, you know, are the different stops that you're making, are you adjusting the message at all for the political leanings of those particular states, or they're all swing states, or just the same thing all the way through, right?
The answer is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Now, the real question is going to be is, do you have people try to stack the deck on some of these town hall meetings? Like, for example, I've heard that MoveOn.org, which is way left of center, is going to try to mobilize people on certain sites to try to stack the audience, if you will. But the good news is, you know, come one, come all, that's fine. I can handle that. When you've been Comptroller General, you can handle about anything. And in addition to that, we have two special events. One in Strongsville, Ohio, Northern Ohio on September 15th. Another one in Springfield, Virginia, Northern Virginia on October 6th, where we're going to recruit demographically representative groups of voters. So therefore, we're going to make sure we don't have people trying to stack the deck, and we're going to find out what a representative group of voters in two critically important swing states think.
And then, you know, quickly before we let you go, the Government Accountability Office, which you know headed up for a while. I mean, that seems like if you find a defined spot where, you know, it's one of those things in which you know, that role has accountability. You know, right? You know, what does that organization do? How important is that in our country, and what is, you know, with fiscal responsibility?
Well, the U.S. Government Accountability Office, which I headed for about 10 years, known as the GAO, basically does audits, investigations, program evaluations, policy analyses, legal research, adjudications, bid protest. They are helping the Congress oversee the executive branch for the American people. They focus on performance, they focus on transparency, they focus on accountability. They make a big difference. And when I was there, we led the way in transforming government. By the time I left, we were 13% smaller, 50 to 100% more productive, and 3 times the outcome-based results. If you can do it there, you can do it anywhere with leadership.
I'm going to try to ask. I'm not going to ask who you're going to vote for.
Good.
But can I ask you
that? I'm not going to tell you.
I'm pretty persuasive. Let me ask you, I mean, the Fed has become a political football. What is your theory, what is your opinion on what the Fed is doing with the QE after QE and what's going on in Europe?
Well, first, I think that fiscal policy is out of control. That's tax and spending. And the Congress and the President are both to blame for that. Secondly, monetary policy is out of control. And one of the reasons that monetary policy is out of control, quite frankly, is because the Congress changed the mission of the Federal Reserve in 1978. And rather than the Federal Reserve just focusing on trying to fight inflation, maintain the value of the dollar, they now have to be concerned with short-term unemployment. It's politicized them. And I think some of the things that, frankly, that have happened in the last couple of days have been incredibly, you know, political in nature.
It's absolutely inflating the stock market at this point, right? QE, whether it's next week or before the election, it's inflating the market.
It's inflating the market, and it's also, you know, making the cost of fiscal irresponsibility less than it should be. Look, understand this. We're the only country worse than us in Europe on honest and comparable accounting is Greece. A vast majority of our debt now is being purchased by the Federal Reserve. We're self-dealing in our own debt. China and Japan, who have positive trade balances, they got to do something with their money, right? We don't know what real interest rates are.
That's correct.
You know, there is no such thing as a risk-free rate. We have huge interest rate risk. That's why I'm saying we got to make progress in 2013, because once people realize that things are a lot worse than they're being told, things can happen very quickly. And when interest rates go up, we have to pay more for interest costs. And what do you get for interest? Nothing. Nothing.
The book is Come Back America, written by David Walker and former U.S. Comptroller. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program. Good luck on your journey, and we'll certainly be following you all along the way. We'll be right back with more Money Matters in just a minute.